Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward.
What's up, guys? Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert. Do your own research. Today we are viewing. I didn't do a video yesterday. I should have done a video given the action, but is what it is. So today, what are we looking at? We're looking at a recovery day or potential recovery day after a massive dump. Um, how am I viewing this price action? I'm viewing this mainly as a consolidation area. So anywhere from like 45 to 33 or so. And there's going to be deviations on both ends, but I strongly suspect that this is going to look a lot like the May, June, July consolidation, where we saw price chop around between 30 and 40K for quite some time. And this is going to be fairly similar, in my opinion. I think that we're going to see price just consolidate similarly between 33 and 45, with deviations on both ends over the next few weeks or whatever. I thought that price was actually going to go up to the mid 50 or the low 50Ks. There was a lot of confluence with like the 48K. It's the point of control using volume profile, and it's close to the 200-day EMA, right around like 48K or so. I was really thinking that it was going to make it there, but price could not close above this key 44.6K level, and we obviously saw some massive dumping. Now, where are we at contextually? Contextually, I don't think anything has really changed. I mean, I personally was of the view that like the low mid 30Ks was going to get tapped again. I just didn't know when it was going to happen. I actually thought we were going to squeeze a little higher personally, so I thought we were going to go to like 50 or 51 or something like that, and then start to dump. That would make a lot more sense. But I'll kind of play it level to level these during these times, just because it's so hard to predict what price is going to do within the next like few days, much less the next few weeks. I do believe overall that price the bottom is relatively in. Um, Around 33K. Like I don't think that we're going to see too many more lows. It is possible that we see something like 28K. Like there are a lot of people, including myself, that do believe that price could certainly tap along that area, but I don't really think that we're going to go to like 20K personally. And it's too far to predict that from this current area as well. And it's 50% lower than price is currently at. I don't think that we're quite at that stage yet. So personally, I'm just viewing this as price coming back down to some of the levels that we saw back in late January. One of the reasons why I was actually short-term bullish was because all the EMAs like pretty lined up, and this was yesterday's price action. Like I thought that the 200 EMA on the 4-hour, right around 42K, was going to hold. It was an SR level, and it was just an area that looks pretty decent for me. I thought that this level was going to hold, but obviously it did not. Now, when we're looking at EMAs, they're obviously a lagging indicator, and usually they're good points of entry and exits, but price obviously nuked way below it, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hit some sort of like lower high, come back up, hit some of these EMAs and like kind of come lower. The next area of support that I'm viewing is kind of like this 38K level. Um, Kind of just a simple SR level, as well as like some um, uh, high volume node on the volume profile coming in as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if price has a little bit lower to go before it bounces. Now, what are we looking at in terms of the overall EMAs? Like EMAs, as I said, they're lagging indicators, and they're generally good points of entries and exits. When you start to see a lot of the EMAs converging, that means that price is compressing and consolidating. And it hasn't flipped bullish in quite some time. It hasn't like this 200 EMA, the red line, has not been in a bullish uh, sense since September, like late September. So as I said, usually good entries and exits. As you can see, this red line, we'll just simplify it as well. The 200 EMA is like a great indicator, in my opinion, as well for the daily, as well as lower time frames as well. But the 200 EMA was just a great exit point right around 50K in mid-December, and um, price obviously couldn't close above it. And once again, we didn't see price. Price was not able to hit that level again. Um, what you'll really want to see is you'll want to see a lot of consolidation with regards to the EMAs. And if you look back at some other time periods, so for instance, this was like back in May, in June and July. This is the price action back in May, June, and July. You can see a lot of the EMA starting to converge right around late July. And this is usually pretty healthy, especially when the gap between the lagging EMA, which is the 200 in this case, is starting to get closer and closer to some of the leading ones, which is like, the 25, 50, 100, depending on whatever EMAs you want to use. So this is like pretty good price action in general when you start to see price consolidate and you start to see these EMAs converge upon each other, because it usually means that a big move is coming. And in this case, obviously, we know what happened next. Price blitzed all the way up. Once again, you see these EMAs converge on each other during high consolidation areas and periods. And again, similarly in September and October, you saw this happen again where price broke out of that range from May, June, and July, and all throughout September came up and then started to consolidate again all throughout September. And once again, we saw these EMAs all start to converge upon each other. And obviously, Bitcoin made another leg up. Now, if you look purely at a price action perspective too, it's easy to start to declare stuff bearish and bullish on lower time frame charts. And that's why high time frame context is so important, in my opinion, is because if you look at this context on the 4-hour, you would see, okay, so price printed a high, and what happened next? It nuked here, all the way down to 42.5K, came back up, made a lower high, and then a lower low. So at this point, you're just like, oh, okay, fuck, like, it's all over, right? Market structure is bearish, like lower high, lower lows, like let's just go ahead and wait for 37K. But what do we know? We know what happened next. Obviously, is price consolidated a little bit more. Price sellers were getting absorbed, and then price made another leg up. So that's why it's very difficult sometimes to analyze what can be denoted as higher highs and higher lows on these lower time frames. And even on the daily here, you could argue, okay, fuck, well, like, this is really just like a lower high and lower low. But from the grand standpoint, from a context standpoint, if you just look at it, this is really just a overall macro low forming. And they can be very hard to distinguish while they are happening in real time, because you're so busy getting fucked up when you see these big liquidation candles that it's hard to look back at the overall context of the chart. And the chart context is that price consolidated for several months. Price had this strong move from 30 to 53K, and then it took a long time for this bottom to form. And bottoms, as I said, they take a long time to form, and they also look really bearish too while they're happening. But in hindsight, they always look like pretty nice. So like while this was happening in September, I wouldn't be surprised if I was making videos during this time saying, "Oh fuck, it's all over." Like we're making lower highs, lower lows. Market structure is bearish. We're just gonna head back down to 30Ks again. But we all know what happened next is price made its leg up. So how does that relate to today? I mean, today, obviously, as I said, you could make the argument here that now we see a bearish market structure overall on 4-hour and 1 day. If you want to count this as the last high around 45.8K, and this was the next high around 44.5K, you could argue that this was like a lower high and the last low just got destroyed as well. So, wherever price makes the low, I don't know if it's here or lower or whatever, it's a lower low. Contextually, I don't think this is quite the same as it was back in May, June, July, and comparing this to September. There's several reasons for that. Number one, this consolidated for several months, and furthermore, price looks a lot different on this slow grind down here than it did back in May. So back in May, we just saw like a big market nuke where everybody got wiped out in one go, like this, and then price chopped around for a while. Whereas this recent December January move has just been like a slow sustained grind down, lower highs, lower lows, and and this just looks a lot different than it did back in May. So I don't think that context wise you can really compare September to current price action personally. My plan from the get go was always to really just wait and look to see where the low is printed. Like for me, this was kind of like this last low that was formed around 33K. So if the price comes and forms some sort of like higher low, and then we break this recent swing high around 45.8K. At that point, I'm willing to consider there being a trend change. But up until that point, I'm really going to just be cautious, and I really wouldn't be surprised just if we just formed this overall range in general from 33 to 45, 46. 48 or whatever. And there's going to be slight bounces as well. Like even if I call this a range, like there's going to be opportunities where price bounces. So like, if it goes to 38K or something like that, price makes like a little mini like lower high and then comes back lower. Certainly possible. There's going to be opportunities to long. There's going to be opportunities to short. I'm mostly staying on my hands right now. I'm just being patient. I didn't long or short. I'm really waiting to see where the lows are printed personally. And it does take a long time for the lows to form, as I've discussed in many other videos. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see 30, like low mid 30Ks eventually, but I don't know when that's going to happen. But what I'm really looking for a macro bottom is I'm really looking for a lot of volatility to come, and then a calming boredom period. What I like to see in most market bottoms is like a big liquidation candle, insane amount of volatility where you see candles spiking back and forth, high volume, like massive ugly candle closes on both ends, and then you just see like um, a slow consolidation period where price just chops around and doesn't do anything after that. That would be ideal for me for calling a market bottom. I don't know if we're quite there yet. Waiting for like one last big shakeout. I don't know what it's going to look like. I do think that altcoins still have another leg down. But that's kind of my overall plan, is just to kind of like, I would say, wait for 38K, see the reaction, and see where this next low is formed. Anyways, I hopefully you guys have a very good weekend. Thank you for watching, and thanks so much for the support.